Hi, everyone. Welcome to Me, You, and Who? And happy Pride Month. On today's episode, I'm sitting down with Ruth to explore her incredible journey as an egg donor. As a member of the LGBTQ plus community, Ruth always knew that she and her wife would one day need the help of third party reproduction to grow their own family. With that in mind, she felt called to give back before she ever received. It felt like fate when she discovered that not only was she helping to create a happy family, but she was also giving back to her own community by helping two dads become parents. Ruth's journey is one of generosity, solidarity, and the deep desire to help others experience the joy of parenthood. She opens up about what inspired her to donate, the emotional and physical aspects of the process, and the profound impact of knowing she was helping another LGBTQ plus family grow. We also dive into the matching process, the choice between known and unidentified donation, and the invaluable lessons she's learned along the way. Whether you're curious about egg donation, exploring parenthood through third party reproduction, or just love a heartwarming story, Ruth's experience is one you won't want to miss. Let's celebrate pride, family, and the many beautiful ways love creates a family.
Me, you, and who? Who knew it would take more than two people to have a baby? In a world where infertility is no longer a taboo topic, this podcast will take you through all of the different aspects of surrogacy and egg donation through the lens of many who walk this journey in different ways. My name is Whitney Hall, and I am a two-time surrogate, now turned surrogacy coordinator for Egg Donor and Surrogate Solutions, the very agency I used when I chose to carry for two amazing families. With this podcast, it is our goal to help guide and support you as you learn about what it takes to grow a family in an alternative way, as well as hear inspiring and beautiful stories of how this path has changed lives forever. We can't wait for you to hear about just one more way happy families are created every day. Hi, Ruth. I'm so excited that you are here. This is just so fun that I get to finally meet you and talk with you. I have just heard nothing but good things from Angela. And so I'm just so excited that I get to finally meet the famous Ruth.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. No, and it makes me so happy to hear that Angela, had such a good experience with me. She was amazing, and so I'm excited.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. No, it's so fun. So, okay, let's go back because you just finished yours. I say just, I mean, it's been a
Mhm.
minute, but
Yes.
let's go back a little bit. What even led you to wanting to become an egg donor?
Yeah, so it's always been something that, like, I don't know, has been a conversation on the side of my family, so it's always been something that's very, like, open, and I know that, my aunt, and I have a very close relationship, and she always talked about, like, wanting to do donor stuff, but especially when she went through her IVF process, when she was trying to have kids, it was a struggle for her. And so it's always been something that was very positive ideas around growing up. And then when I came out and then found my partner in college, it was definitely something that I was like, I know that in order for us to have a family, we're going to have to rely on a donor as well. So I would love to
Right.
be on the other side of that experience before we get to that stage. And it was just so rewarding. So after my wife and I got married, it was something I poured a lot of more time and energy into because I knew I really wanted to put more time and energy into it. And then almost a year after I got married was when I got matched with that first couple.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I was going to ask you because I feel like, I don't know if necessarily that many people really do realize that when you are part of the LGBTQ community, you are going to have to rely on a third party in order to grow your family, whether
Yeah.
whether it's adoption or whether it's, sperm or egg donation. Did that, I mean, I know you said you had influence from your family, but how much of an influence of it for, you just being part of the community and realizing that, you were obviously going to have to rely on that. How much of that really did kind of, influence your decision to want to be a part of that, like you said, kind of on this side of things?
Yeah, majorly. So I bring up my family because I guess that was a foundation of support, so it made it so much
Yeah.
easier. But coming from that background of knowing that that was a process I would have to go through one day is a major part of it. And I think the way that I looked at it was kind of like karma. Like I want to put out,
Mm.
give back before I expect that back kind of energy.
Oh, I really love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So whenever you were kind of having those conversations again, I mean, I know obviously your family kind of gave you this beautiful, just supportive base. What were those conversations like with your wife when you were, wanting to, like you said, give back first before you received?
Yeah, so much of my wife and I's relationship is based on a lot of our original beliefs, and so when I initially brought up the conversation, it wasn't even a question of, "Let's talk more about this." It was just she's just so supportive of everything that I do,
Mm.
and so, she also, I think, comes from the same mindset, and that's so much of what our relationship is based off of is just similar beliefs, and so it wasn't even a conversation of, well, let's talk more about it and
Uh-huh.
let's kind of really weigh a lot of our options. It was like, without a doubt, this is the right thing and support you in that process. And so, even when I was doing the injections, because she hates needles, so she was like, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you. And I was doing them, and she was like, I am going to stand here and look at you very supportive. I cannot do it though. I was like, it's okay. I still love you.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I totally understand. I was a surrogate, and my husband also very supportive. And there were like a couple of times where he would do them for me. Like it was like initially at the beginning, and then after a
Mhm.
while, I was like, "You're making me more nervous. I'll just do it on my
Yeah.
own. Like it's okay." And he's
Yeah.
like, "But I'm cheering you on. I promise." I'm like, "That's great. Just you can hand me the alcohol swabs. Like it's fine."
Yeah, like, I would go and do the injection and, like, push it in, and then she'd be like, "Ooh," and I'm like, I'm make not making a noise, you are." Like,
Right, right.
we're it's a sympathetic pain, I understand.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Oh, that's so sweet. I love
Yeah.
it. And I love that I mean, it sounded like it really wasn't a matter of if, but it was just a matter of
Mhm.
when you were going to
Yes,
do
yeah.
this. Oh, I love how supportive she was. I mean, truly, whether you're an egg donor or surrogate, you have to have that support, even if it is
Yeah.
just standing there and giving you sympathetic pains. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to have that support because, I mean, this process can be emotional and roller coastery, and it's wonderful to have that handhold.
Yeah, no, it was really nice, especially being able to have her there, during the weeks we traveled to Dallas, was just
Yeah.
so nice, and she was like, "I feel like I'm not doing anything. I feel like I'm just here." And I was like, "And that's so helpful." It's
Uh-huh.
just nice to not be alone sitting in the hotel room. It's very nice.
100%. No, absolutely. Oh, I love that. I love that. So,
Yeah.
okay, how did you feel when all right, you guys decided to do this? You
Mhm.
filled out your application, which, as everybody knows, an egg donor application is quite lengthy and,
Yeah.
definitely takes time for sure. And then all of a sudden, you got chosen. What was that phone call like?
Yeah, it was so nice. So for my job, I work in housing and specifically student housing that's around college. And
Yeah.
so the time of year that is our busiest had just ended. We had our move-in date on August 19th. And so I was coming off of like working nonstop for like a
Sure.
month. And I was sitting at work, and then I got the call, and so I stepped outside, and I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" Because I'd been in a little bit more communication with some of the other representatives at the agency, and so we were chatting a little bit, and she was like, "Hey, so I have really good news. I think that we have a couple that's interested," and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And one thing that I think really stuck with me that she did share was that it was another same sex couple, and that was
Mhm.
something that I think connected me so much more to that journey as well. Is like I don't
Yeah.
it was an unidentified cycle, but I feel like there's more of a connection there knowing that I'm contributing to my community in such a meaningful way. And so that was
Mhm.
so nice to know from jump. And so then we just kind of started rolling. She walked me through, we're gonna send you the genetic test kit, and then we're gonna fly you out to Dallas to just get the physical and the okay,
Right.
and then all of that stuff. And it felt like it was going to move really quick, and then I don't know, it just I felt so walked through every step of the process that nothing felt like it was moving too fast or just happening
Sure.
out of nowhere. Like it was, I don't know, it just felt very not easy. None of it's easy, but it was so nice to have the guiding hands to go through. It felt like everything was expected, which made it
Right.
much more manageable. I think it would have been so much. It could have been so much more overwhelming. But yeah,
Easily, especially when you're doing something like this for the first time and it is so precise and, and unique to you and your body and, unique to that clinic or that doctor and, just all of
yeah,
those things. And so to have that guiding hand, even before things happen, it makes it seem less
yeah,
overwhelming and step by step and
yeah,
not surprising.
yeah, exactly.
Yes, no, for sure. Oh, I love that. And I mean, I think you're so I love that. It almost feels like that the match being with another same-sex couple is again kind of what you said to like that karma
Yeah,
where you I mean you really not you're giving back, but like you said, you're giving back specifically to the LGBTQ community, which is just, I mean,
exactly.
that's like the little cherry on top of it.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, I love that. So, what made you, I guess even going back further, I probably should have asked this earlier, but when you were kind of deciding between known or unidentified, what was kind of your thoughts whenever you were thinking about that?
Yeah, I think kind of bringing it back to my family and support system and the way that I was raised, very much, with the foundational belief that family is who you make it. DNA is not your
Mm,
family. And so coming from that core belief, um, I wanted to kind of leave it up to the intended parents.
yeah.
Ultimately, it's their decision. This is their family. And I think in my bio, when there's a section that asks if there was a message that you wanted to leave to any donor conceived children, and what I put there was like, I'm not your parent. I'm not that person for you, but I will always be proud of you. And I'm
Mm,
so happy that you are getting to go into a family that is so loving and dedicated to bringing you into the world. That's something
yeah.
that's super special and something that should be really cherished. And
I,
so,
yeah.
yeah,
No, that's beautiful. I mean, especially donor conceived people, I mean, they are so
yes,
wanted. And I love that that is that tone of your message.
yeah, yeah. It's something. I mean, I don't know any donor conceived children, but as I started the process, I started looking more into a lot of the culture around it. And I know that there's
Hmm.
so many social movements around it and actions for reform around donor restrictions and things like that. And
Yeah.
so many stories are so inspiring and like bringing it back to the personal view of it as well,
Hmm.
of same-sex relationships and the struggles that you have to go through is in a same-sex relationship to create your family. Like you said, it's takes a lot of dedication, and to be the product of that is something that's so special. And I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of what you hear from those stories is just an overwhelming sense of love. And I just think that's so amazing. And so being able to contribute to that is it's a really nice journey. I really appreciate it.
No, for sure. I mean, again, I love that that underlying, just I guess your why is this idea of wanting to again give back to just give back into the world, especially give back to your community. And then yeah,
Mhm.
you get to be just that little part of creating a little person that is going to be part of another community that is so special and so loved. And that's I mean, that's gotta feel so good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really nice feeling for
Yes,
sure.
for sure, for sure. And I mean, again, knowing that however you choose to grow your family, your,
Mhm.
little person is going to also be, a part of a special community like that. Like
Yeah.
that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So, okay, going back to, your cycle. I know you were guided. I know it felt good, but how did you feel as you were kind of leading up to the big day? You're going through all of the meds and things like that. How are you
Oh
feeling?
yeah. Bloated. I think I sent I really reached out and was on every other, like, woman in my life that I know has gone through something similar,
Yes.
and, like, IVF process, so my aunt and my sister-in-law, and I think I sent my sister-in-law a picture of, the egg, from the Shrek movie, and I was like, "This is how I feel right now."
This is how I
I feel large, round, um, and so that was, I think, the biggest thing, but it was nice going every appointment that I went to, everyone was like, "How you feel? Bloated?" And I was like, "How'd you know?"
How
So,
shocking.
wow. So yeah, just that was, like, the biggest thing was, like, I know this isn't gonna last forever, but, like, 2 to 3 weeks of just feeling large was fun.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Um,
Sweatpants are your friend. The seatbelt doesn't
oh,
feel
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I invested in like I think I went to the American Eagle and I was like, I just need one pair of jeans that doesn't look like sweatpants but feels like sweatpants. So that's what
Yes.
we're gonna invest in real quick. And
I
so
love it.
that
Good
was
investment.
good. Yes, honestly, and I wear them like all the time. Anytime that it's like a weekend, but I have like a friend hang out, but I we're going out to like brunch or something, but I don't want to dress up. Those are my go-to pants now. So it was a great investment.
See, there you go.
Um exactly. So yeah, so aside from that, it was I have a lot of friends and work friends who were super invested in the process too. And so I would share like a lot of the videos that I took for to share with social media.
Yeah.
I was also sharing with them and I was like, so who wants to see my injection today? They were like, me.
Pick
Pick me. So
me.
yeah, so that was fun. I know that I did have some reservations about the birth control, which I know is a very normal process, but I've had the unique experience of never having to use birth control
Sure.
before, and so that was one that I was like concerned about. And I don't know if I
What were the
was
concerns
really
surrounding it?
like I didn't know how my body would react. I didn't know if I
Sure.
would have adverse reactions or if I would get just really PMSy and mean.
Uh-huh.
And so,
Nope, that's real.
yeah, and so my wife was very like, "Don't worry, like whatever it is, we'll approach it." I don't think I had
Hmm.
any like really strong, I think, emotional reactions until the week before retrieval, and I think
Sure.
that was just because yeah, I'm not home. I'm not in my safe space, and that was all.
Yeah. Well, it's a
So
lot
yeah,
happening all at once, right? Like exactly like you said, you're in a different spot. You're in a
yeah,
hotel, which I mean, you can make a hotel as homey as possible, but it's not home.
yeah.
You're bloated, you're uncomfortable. You're waking up
Mhm.
early like every day to go to,
Yes.
those check appointments and everything. I
Yeah.
mean, I know your wife said she wasn't doing anything, but I think her just being there was like you
It
said,
was
like
really
she
nice.
was that comfort. She was that familiar.
She was, she was. So, yeah, I think other than, like I think aside from the physical, effects of everything that was going on,
Sure.
emotionally, I got a week off of work, so that was nice.
We love
So
that.
I kind of just got to, like, refocus on myself a little bit and was just
Hmm.
excited about the journey. It was really nice the week right before the retrieval. The intended parents, did send me, like, some really good cookies, which were,
Yum.
oh my gosh, so good. And then that really got me through so much. And then
Yes.
they sent me just a little thank you note too, and so those little moments were I think
Mm.
I told my wife, I was like, "I don't feel like I'm, like, PMSing too hard kind of energy, like, I'm not getting super emotional or, like, reacting too much, except for that message did, like, really make me cry," and I was like, "I'm crying happy, like, I'm just
Yeah.
glad to be a part of the process." And then I cried also because I made myself laugh too hard, at, like, a very unfunny joke that my wife made, like, 2 hours prior, and I was like I laughed for, like, a good 30 minutes, and I was, like, in tears laughing, and I was like, "I need you to know it wasn't that funny, so don't let it go to your head." There's obviously just a lot going on.
There's obviously just a lot going
Just a
on.
lot. So, yeah.
I love it. I love it. Going back to, because, I've had the privilege of getting to talk with donors and intended parents, and a lot of everybody brings up that sweet special letter.
Yeah.
What was that like, receiving that? Did you write one?
I did not. I asked Angela to send back a little thank you message to the intended parents.
Yeah.
Um, but it was just something along the lines of, and kind of going back to the reason why I did this process, which I think is why it hit me so hard.
Mm-hmm.
Of just the intended parents were like, because we're a same-sex couple, we knew that this would be a challenge to start our family, and you're making that process easier and helping in that process. And so they just wanted to say thank you. And so that obviously hit very close to home as well. So it was just very
Yeah.
nice. And so I think at the time my wife was taking a nap. So I was just sitting on the bed, just like having a little cry and like being very happy. And then I messaged
Yes.
Angela back and I was like, please tell them thank you so much. This is so meaningful to me too. And yeah.
Oh, I mean, I think, like, obviously, what a big deal it is and what you're doing.
Mhm.
But I think whenever you like really get those sweet personal messages, whether it's, known or an unidentified cycle, like, I mean, when you hear directly from those intended parents, there's just something that like really gets your heart whenever you
Yeah.
just have that. Oh, it's like these two people. It's not some like obscure, just idea. It's like these two people are like, I'm
Yeah.
helping this little family.
That just little bit of connection. It
Yeah.
makes the world.
Oh, I love that. I love that so, so much. So, okay, day of retrieval. How was it?
Yes.
I guess,
Yeah.
okay, so for those who don't know, with egg donation, the reason why you're there for like a week is because you have to go every single day. And then at some point they tell you, the clinic says, okay, yep, nope, you're ready. You're
Yep.
going to do that trigger shot. Your, retrievals tomorrow. So kind of like every
Checking my
morning.
emails every hour.
Exactly. Like it's kind of this sort of like wait and see game, which can kind of
Mhm.
be, a little nerve wracking, but again, thank goodness we have our support. But what was that like whenever you did get that email and you were like, oh, like this is happening?
Yeah. I was super excited, and I think that night I couldn't a little like Christmas. I couldn't sleep. I was like, okay,
Yes.
I got to make sure I wake up on time, and I got to drink my water, and then okay, we have everything in place. And so my wife was very helpful at that time. We were like, hey, this is what I'm going to wear. And then I was like texting her, I was like, am I allowed to wear sweats? I don't think I can put on jeans today. And she was like, absolutely.
Yes.
Please put on sweats.
Please.
I was like,
yes.
great. So I was super excited. And then I remember I arrived to the clinic, walked on back, and I was hanging out, got dressed in my little like cute little gown
Yes.
for the operation, and then hung out in the gurney. And I'd never gone through anesthesia before. And so my wife she was like, so it's basically like they're going to count you down and then you're going to wake up. And I was like, I couldn't comprehend what that would mean. Like you just wake up, like the sense of lost time. And I was like, okay. And I think the new Lady Gaga song had just dropped like the day or 2 days prior. And I was like, so when I come to, you got to play that for me. Okay. And she was like, okay. And I was like, I feel like this is really going to help with whatever I'm going through. And she's like, okay. And so, and I mean, it's 7 a.m. Like, I don't know how I had any energy at all, but I did.
Yes, well, it's Christmas morning.
Exactly, it's Christmas morning. And so I was joking with the nurses when we were going to the operating room. I was like, so, the gurney, can you do any sick tricks? And she was like, what do you mean?
Yes.
And I was like, can you do like Tokyo Drift, like maybe a kickflip? And she was like, girl, we're lucky if it moves. And I was like, and that's facts. I completely understand.
I love
it. So we go into the operating room, and the anesthesia, I will say it's a little like jarring when they strap down your legs.
Oh, sure.
Because I was like, I've been used to having my legs put up for the last while.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we, as women, when we go to the OB, this is not anything brand new.
Not new at all. And so but then they strapped me down. I was like, oh, I mean, that makes sense. Maybe it makes sense. And then the anesthesiologist comes up and puts on the little oxygen mask, and he's like, you ready for the margarita mix? And I was like, yeah.
Nice. Yes. So this is the energy I love.
This is the energy that we're looking for. Good vibes. And so then he straps me up, and he's like, okay, we're ready. It might feel a little bit spicy. And I didn't know what he meant by that. And then I was
Mm-hmm.
laying there and I was like, yeah, I feel floaty. And then I woke up.
There
Like, my
you
wife was
go.
so real about that. I was like, I don't even, yeah, it truly is just complete loss of time. And my wife took a video, and thank God she did, because it's so funny coming out of the anesthesia,
Yes.
because I'm trying to tell her everything that just happened, everything I just explained to you, and trying to
Right.
explain to her. I'm like, yeah, and then I came, and he said it was spicy, and like
Spicy.
none of it makes sense. And I guess the nurse is like, is she repeating herself? And my wife's like, and I couldn't tell you.
Couldn't tell you. It's like those wisdom teeth videos where like, yes.
Yes. Just like nothing makes sense. But she did play me the Abracadabra song, which
There
is
you go.
so incredible. And that, yeah.
Yes.
So it was great. I mean, what was even better is that when Angela came in, because I didn't get to see her until after, I think, the operation, but she was there right before, and some of the nurses came in, they were like, hey, so there's this Angela person trying to get in. And I was like, yeah, Angela Perez. Yeah.
Yeah, my coordinator.
She said
duh.
she's with here. And they were like, Angela Perez. And I was like, yes. Like, she was famous. And they were like, we know Angela.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So they all were close with Angela, because Angela, I think, used to work there.
Mm-hmm.
And so the energy was very nice. Everybody was like, knew each other and had a great energy. And so coming back into that energy was very nice. So yeah.
Oh, I love that. And special shout out to Angela. Oh, she's such a mama.
Love
like
Angela.
oh my gosh, she just hugs you.
No, when she came in, she gave me a little hug. She was like, how are we doing? And I was like, great. And she was like, I think right before I went in, she was like, are we nervous? And I was like, actually no. I like a little jitter, but like I'm not scared kind of energy. And so she was like, okay, good. And like you said, very mother energy, very caring.
Yeah.
She's so sweet. I love her.
Oh, she's just the best. She is just the best. Oh my gosh, I love it. Every single time I call her, she's like, hey honey, and I'm like, oh yes. I feel your hugs.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I love that. And I love that. I mean, of course you were jittery, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But I mean, when you've been prepared, when you've been guided, when you for the most part know what to expect, you get to kind of just have that fun excitement jittery, not the nervous, I don't know what's happening jittery.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that we were in spicy margarita dreams. That's fantastic.
Yes. I love that's how he described it.
Yes. A good tahini rim. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. So how did you so again, afterwards, I mean, you were having your spicy margarita, and then all of a sudden you're awake again. We have all of these good vibes. We get back to the hotel. How was rest, recovery? And then did it ever sink in? Like, when did it kind of sink into you that like, oh yeah, I just did a thing.
Yeah, it was like definitely a few hours later, because just, how do I explain it? Not that I had a very good sense of my body, but it was just kind of like riding off of the anesthesia.
Oh,
and like, I didn't feel like any pain. I was like, dang, I killed it.
Yeah.
Like, we're winning at life right now.
It's like my body's made to do this.
Exactly. And I was like, we're killing it. We're having such a good time. And then we got back to the hotel, and then just to be like cautious, got a hot pack, and I think I was like binging some TV shows or something.
Yes.
And my wife was taking care of me, and I was like, I want chocolate. So please go get me chocolate. And she's like,
please.
Great, on my way. Be right back.
Oh,
so she would come back with food and with sweet treats. And so I just got pampered that day. So I was just enjoying being pampered. And then I finally got the email that was like, hey, we got 22 eggs from the retrieval, which I didn't have a comprehension of like how many that was until they were like, wow, that's crazy. And then I was like looking up, I was like, what is the average amount that people get?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that is a lot.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And so once I saw that email, I was like, oh yeah, that was like a whole thing. Like, we did a whole thing that day. That wasn't just me taking a nap.
Yes, you did a whole thing that day. So, and again, for people who don't know, we had
Dr. Havman from Dallas IVF, she does a amazing explanation of, you know, just kind of like this process. And I love it. It's like the sports reference of like, our body has all of these eggs. And, you know, like that 1 month, you just kind of, normally you just release the one egg. Well, what they're doing is they're bringing all of your, like the people on the bench, they're like bringing them up for the team and all of that. But like you said, it does vary how many of those that you can get. And I mean, 22, that's fantastic.
Yeah. I was like, I think I came back to work that Monday, and I was like, any of y'all need eggs? I got them. Okay.
Just
you just let me know.
guys.
I got your eggs right here. Okay. So yeah,
yes.
It was a great running joke.
No, I love it. We're going to put a banner up. Like, yes, these are things we should be proud of.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. I love that. But I mean, like you said, so you had that, egg retrieval happens. You got to be pampered that day. And then you went back to work on a Monday.
Yeah. I think I did take that Monday off because I think coming off of all of those hormones after a while, the nausea finally hit. I had some very mild nausea, thankfully, because I usually have terrible nausea. So I was fully expecting to be in the trenches this entire time. And because I had car sickness when I was a kid, motion sickness all the time. No. So I was like very prepared. I had Dramamine ready.
Yes.
I was prepared to be struggling. And so I didn't really have a whole lot of terrible nausea up until that Monday. And then I was like, yeah, we're going to call into work today. It's going to be a rough one.
Yeah.
But then that Tuesday, I was good. I was chilling. And so I was following doctor directions. And something that was really, I felt so reassured by, my sister-in-law had unfortunately experienced the hyperstimulation syndrome. And so she was such a great resource for, in addition to all of the doctor guidance, of just like, hey, keep an eye out for this. This is what my experience was.
Yeah.
Like, keep checking in and letting me know. And so what was so reassuring was how attentive all of the team were on everything. And so they had me, you know, on a regimen. I would use the restroom first thing in the morning and then weigh myself right after, and just making sure to drink lots of water. And it was so, like I said, just reassuring. It was nice to know that I wasn't the only one responsible for checking and clocking if something was out of place. And so I was able to rely on Angela and then the doctors and then all of my extra resources. So that was a really nice part of the recovery, was being able to check in with someone and be like, hey, this is normal, right?
Yes.
And they're like, yeah, you're fine.
No,
like, okay,
for
cool.
sure. Well, and I love that because, I mean, it doesn't just stop on the day that, you know, you got the email of, hey, we got 22 eggs, and then like, you're just done. Like, people are checking in. You're Ruth. You're not just a number. Like, you're Ruth. They want to know how you're doing. I mean, that's a big deal.
No, it was really nice. So it meant a lot that we would be able to have that kind of connection. And so checking everything was going good. So after that one rough day of nausea,
which is to be expected
after that. Yes, to be expected. Everything was great after that. And then I was just kind of counting down the days that I could go back to the gym, because I think that was the only thing that I was like, I feel like I'm doing nothing right now. I'm on restrictions. I'm not allowed to lift anything or do anything. So I was just kind of sitting at home, like twiddling my thumbs after work, being like, okay.
Sure. Your body kind of has like pent up energy. Like,
exactly. I was like, I need to do something. So we were counting down the days, and then kind of after that week after, and then I got my first menstrual cycle, and then just kind of felt like I was back to normal, back to business as usual.
I love that. I mean, I think one of the important things that I want to like highlight that you said was that you were so adamant about following the, just post-procedure, everything that they asked for you to do, because that's so important. Because I think, like you said, you felt good that first day, and it's so easy to kind of trick yourself into being like, I'm winning at this. I'm like, we're good. It's fine. Like,
and I absolutely did. I was like, oh, we're done. We're good. Like, back to everything. I was like texting my house. I'm like, see you Monday, girl. Like,
yes.
And then Monday morning hit, and I was like, hey,
Just kidding.
So, listen, I feel like I'm on a boat that I can't get off of. Sorry. And so
Oh.
I'm really lucky to have a job and a team that I work with that are so supportive of
Yeah.
this journey. And so they were very supportive of my inability to come to work that
Uh-huh. Well, they
day.
probably didn't want you there.
No, I bet that they didn't. I
Yep.
definitely get cranky. So they're like, I called one of them and I was like, hey, and they're like,
Oh,
okay,
oh.
okay, say no more. You're
Heard,
good.
heard.
Exactly.
I love
Yeah.
that. Yes. Well, and again, like having that support, I mean, obviously, of
Mhm.
course, having your wife be supportive, but yes, having work know and support you and be flexible. And, I mean, just all of that is
Yeah,
just paramount to having a successful and just good journey.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So, okay, since then,
Mhm.
like you said, you were back to normal. You got to start working out again. We're back to work.
Yeah.
And I heard recently we got some good news.
Yes. So I
Yeah.
recently got a message from Angela that there were 9 normal embryos, which is so huge.
So
So,
big.
yes. No, fantastic
Ah!
news. So I let her know, I was like, please, like, tell the intended parents, like, I am wishing them so much love and well wishes for this next step in their journey. Because
Mm.
it's so nice to know that they have so many opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And again, like I think it really hearing that really puts into perspective 22 is an amazing amount of eggs.
Yeah,
And that equated to 9 healthy embryos, which is also a really big number. But that
yes,
22 eggs does not equal 22 embryos. And
correct.
so I
Yeah.
think just science wise, like just for people to realize like that, like this is, it takes time. I mean, and there, like you said, there is kind of a little bit of a journey afterwards
Mhm.
to get to hear that good news. I love
Yeah.
that.
No, it
Yes.
was really nice. I was telling everyone because I have another friend of mine who stops in to work usually at the end of each other day,
Love it.
and she's considering doing egg donation. But so
Amazing.
I've been like talking her through the journey and like everything that's been going on. And so
Yeah.
when I got that message, I was like, guess what? This is what happened. And I remember having that conversation just as you said, like, it doesn't how many eggs get retrieved does not always equate to how many healthy embryos you'll get.
Mhm.
And so I was talking her through that. She was like, because I forget if it was her or someone else was like, so they just pull one egg, and I was like, no,
No. We
no,
don't do all of that
no,
for just one.
not just one. No, get as many as we can and then see where we get from there. And then, because I forget who, I think it was one of my coworkers or my dad that I was talking to, and they were like, okay, so they get however many embryos from that, and then what? And I was like, well, then they get to choose from those, and that's theirs.
Right?
And so I think there's a big misconception about, and I think also it comes from maybe a lack of education as well. But just a misconception about how that process works. So it's not easy as one, two, three. There's so many variables involved, and
Mhm.
there's so many chances for risk. And
Mhm.
so I can only imagine for an intended parent how nerve wracking that process is. And so, yeah, it's being on this end and just knowing that I did good.
You
There were
did.
so many.
You were winning.
We
You
did
won that
good.
day.
It's so nice. It feels very good.
Yes. Yes. Well, again, right? Like, I mean, that 22 just made that number higher of the possibility of having those
Exactly.
healthy embryos. And that, I mean, knowing that you were continuing to be able to give, that hope or that little bit of, maybe relief as those intended parents continue to kind of hold their breath for that next part and that next step
Exactly.
is, yeah,
Yeah.
that's got to feel good. And I mean, yes, you're right. Like exactly what you were kind of explaining to your dad. It's, yes, there's 9 embryos. And then of that, there's, and they're healthy, but of that, there's grades. And, there isn't a
Exactly.
whole, like, not that's not average information to a lot of people unless you're, you know,
part of
actively
that third
going
party.
through it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And so I think it's wonderful that not only do you have a friend who is thinking about doing this, and so you're being able to explain all of it, but I mean, you get to kind of advocate for like just being able to spread that information and making this a topic
Yeah.
that isn't taboo. And I love that people feel so comfortable asking you those questions and that you're willing to
Yeah.
be able to just share your experience.
Absolutely. No, I'm very blessed and lucky to have so many people in my life, both family and friends, who are so supportive and interested and find value in things like this that I'm doing aside from my day to day. And I mean, it doesn't come without its struggles. I'm sure a lot of egg donors go through. I've had, thankfully, scarce conversations, but still a conversation or two here and there of people being like, "Oh, so you have a kid?" It's like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with a distant family member who was like, "Oh, so my DNA's out there." I was like, "Girl, it's like barely an eighth of your DNA, actually." So no. And just being like, so, and this person was not invited to my wedding, keep in mind. So, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And so part of this perspective of like, oh, I don't know how I'd feel about like my DNA being out there. And maybe this is just falling back on some of the foundational beliefs that I was raised on of your family's who you make it, not your DNA.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people just they don't get that. And it's hard to have that perspective. And I totally understand it. But I can't wrap my head around that idea that you think that has more to do with you than just biological matter. Like, I think we all very much have that perspective of our minds are so much different than our bodies. And so your mind is always attributed to how you were raised, the environments you're around, and the foundational beliefs that you were raised on. And that is purely about the people that you are around as you grow up, and has nothing to do, aside from biological and medical, to do with your DNA and who attributed to that. I'm so glad to be a part of that process. And it's unfortunate, I think, that not more people have that perspective.
I mean, yes, I completely agree. I mean, yes, there is something to be said for the DNA aspect, like you said, of just medically knowing, just your medical history. You need that as a human being, right? Like we just
Exactly,
every human deserves to have that, just as anybody navigates life. But it can stop there, because it is about that community, and it is about the people that are pouring into you and loving on you, and that is your family. I think you could say your friends are chosen family. You could, whether, if you do have a biological, two biological parents, like I mean, your community and your family is more than just DNA. And that is such a beautiful perspective to have, and spread that love and that energy. Because I feel like more and more it should be, I mean, it's not a mystery, but not a lot of people talk about it, right? Like how you build your family, it isn't just one way. And every single moment of that should be celebrated.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that.
How did you, so with, maybe we'll skip over the family member. But how did you maybe navigate those conversations, or maybe just that question of like, oh, so you have a kid out there? Like, how did you kind of navigate that?
I think to that direct, like, oh, you have a kid out there, I was like, no.
Yeah. No.
The answer to that question is no. I definitely helped somebody else have a kid, but I don't have one. And I think that's kind of my approach to a lot of things, is not necessarily, I don't entertain an argument, but I will give you a direct answer.
Love that.
And so that, like, a conversation that I had was someone expressed their perspective of they could not do this process because they didn't want to do that. And I was like, and I understand that, but I do. So
thanks so much.
Cool. Yep. Let's move on. And like I said, like I can understand where people come from with that, but I I do believe that it is a limited perspective. And
Mhm.
I think thankfully, I do believe that a lot of people are moving toward that understanding that, like you said, families come around in so many different ways, and there are so many different ways to be a family. And because of that fluidity, we should have fluidity in understanding how to contribute to that.
Yeah.
So it's, like I said, not an argument. We can agree to disagree, but
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and if that's something that you don't want to do, that's totally fine. But guess what? You can support me in doing it, and that's that.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
thanks so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess so for anybody who maybe does have family members who kind of do
Mhm.
have that obscure idea of like, oh, so I, they kind of make it about themselves. So I have DNA floating out there.
Mhm.
What would you maybe say to somebody who's navigating that? Like, especially, I know I was speaking to an egg donor, and they were talking to, it was a parent, and they were like, so I have like this grandchild, and I like, she and I
Yeah.
both like, I was like, no you don't, no you don't.
No. Yeah. It's a difficult conversation to have. It really,
Yeah.
especially with people that feel like that it is about them. Like you said, I
Hmm.
think that's a really good way to put it, is having the perspective of it's a me thing, not a you thing. And I
Hmm.
am not trying to the focus should be supporting this person that you care about. My advice, I think, would be first identify your comfortability in that conversation. I'm
Yeah.
personally someone who, like I said, I don't argue. I will give you my honest answer and move on.
There you go.
But that can sometimes be definitely taken as confrontational. And so identifying your comfortability in that conversation first and
Hmm.
foremost, is where you want to be. And then what is, I guess, your truth? What line do you want to set? What boundary do you want to hold for yourself that
Hmm.
ensures that you are comfortable? And for me, that was correcting someone when they said, "Oh, I have a grandchild. Oh, I have DNA out there." No, you
No.
don't have anything actually. This is just something that I'm doing, that I'm passionate about, and I think it's really cool. And if you believe that you have some stake in that, that is your problem and not mine.
Mhm. Mhm. No, I love that. Just, yeah, simple. The end.
Yeah,
We're just not even going to entertain going into
no.
all of the things. Yeah.
If you're a donor, or especially if you're a surrogate, you're already going through so much. Like you
Yes.
don't need to be taking on anybody else's opinions or feelings about what you're doing, because at the end of the day, it actually doesn't affect them. It affects only you.
The end. Mic
The
drop.
end.
The end.
Period.
I love that. No, I mean, Ruth, you're so right, and I love just how complete that is. Simple, complete. Like,
Yeah.
there it is. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, what, I feel like you just keep giving all of these amazing nuggets of advice, but if you were to just either say to day one Ruth, just giving her advice, or maybe to any woman out there who is thinking about being an egg donor, what advice would you want to give them?
Yeah. Um, I personally, anyways, am independent to a fault and at my own expense sometimes.
Yeah.
So my advice would be to lean on your resources.
Mm.
Obviously, it seems overdone. There's never a stupid question, but it's so nice to be able to say, like, hey, this is what I'm experiencing. And someone says, oh, yeah, I went through the exact same thing. You're all good.
Yeah.
It takes an emotional weight off that you maybe won't know that you're carrying. And so leaning on your resources, on the guides that you'll have available for you in the process, but also the other women in your life. I definitely don't think that I was as aware as I am now of how many women in my life went through this process as well. And
Wow.
so it was so nice to be able to have that connection. Like my wife's aunt also works at a fertility clinic, and I somehow just didn't know that. And so she was
Yeah.
texting me every day, and she was like, "Hey, how's it going? Like, let me know what your results were." Da, 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 da. And so
I love that.
it's opened up a lot more communication and connection to people that I don't think I would have had that opportunity otherwise. So lean on your resources.
Lean on your resources. That is excellent, excellent advice. Oh, that's amazing. Ruth, I could probably just talk about it all day, just how amazing you are, what you did and how amazing it is. I think I feel like I was a surrogate myself, and I feel like that you kind of do this thing and then life just keeps going. And unless you are intentional about stopping and really reflecting on what you've done, it's kind of easy to just gloss over it. And so I love that I've gotten the opportunity to sit here and just get to really, just have this time to reflect on what an amazing thing that you have done and what you continue to do by talking to others and by educating others and being willing to have those tough conversations, albeit short and sweet because we're direct.
Yes.
So my last question to you, and it's a fun one. For anyone who knows me, and I know you've seen me just sipping on my coffee this entire time, but coffee and I have a beautiful relationship with each other. I'm very codependent. And so I always like to ask the question, what filled your cup today? Literally or figuratively, what's been the thing that has filled your cup?
Yeah. If we want to talk literally, I also have some coffee right here.
Yes,
I've
queen.
been sipping
Yes.
on all morning.
I'm here for it.
Like,
Absolutely.
I need to get my coffee.
No, must.
But if we're talking on a very, very real note, this journey has been, like I said, so enlightening in so many ways. It has brought me so many connections to relationships that I didn't know that I had. And also just gave me a sense of connection, I think, like I said, to my community as a queer person. And this specific first cycle being with a same-sex couple just made me really have a lot of appreciation for the process and that like meaningful contribution. So that's really been taking up a lot of my emotional headspace during that process.
I love that. That's beautiful. It's beautiful. And again, I love the fact that we get to celebrate so many extra things. We get to, not only just celebrate the fact that you as an egg donor are, helping to create a family, but again, that cherry on top of getting to like specifically pour into the LGBTQ community, which that just feels good.
It does.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, thank you, Ruth, so much just for more than just this, for everything you're doing.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me on. This was so nice.
Yay, I'm glad you had fun.
I did.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Me, You, and Who. We appreciate your time and hope you enjoyed our discussion today. As we wrap, we would like to remind you of some of the ways that you can stay connected with us and be part of the Me, You, and Who podcast community. Firstly, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode and can stay up to date with our latest content. But that's not all. We also have an exciting YouTube channel where we share some bonus content, behind the scenes glimpses, and video versions of our episodes. Head over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button there as well. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when the new episodes go live. And for more exclusive updates, engaging discussions, and a chance to connect with fellow listeners. Be sure to follow us on our social media accounts. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Create a Happy Family. If you're interested in finding out more about creating a happy family, please visit us at www.createahappyfamily.com. Thank you again for being part of the Me, You, and Who community. Your support means the world to us. I can't wait for you to join us next time as we continue to share stories and journeys of creating happy families.